welcome back to Coffee with the Wolves, presented by JJC Athletics. I'm your host, Damian Dennis, and I'm joined this week by head baseball coach and athletic director Gregg Braun.
Thanks, Damien.
Third time's the charm,
Right. Technical issues, first two times. Ready to roll. Got the hat on, so that means it's baseball season.
Yeah. So I started to ask you during our second attempt, but about the field, because we can see it outside, covered in snow. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, well, like I said, it could be 14 inches, could be 3 inches. To us, it really doesn't matter. But home opener is 17 days away. Good thing is we've actually been on the field. It's in good shape. Tarp's down. Tarp has been down since January 7th. But, we've had 4 or 5 days where we've been on the field. So I think the frost line's good. I think it's okay. So just give us about 3 or 4 days to get ready, and we'll be ready. So we'll see what happens. But we're focused on Southern Indiana weather to begin with.
Yeah. You got 17 days before the home opener, March 2nd, Sunday, I believe, right?
Yep, correct.
But your season begins again in Indiana in a week. Just kind of want to ask you, how do you feel? Baseball season is upon us. I know. I think your team is like the largest here on campus.
Yep.
And I think you have the largest schedule too.
Yeah.
Baseball.
56 games.
Yeah. Like last year was a lot to keep up with. But also you make it easy with Game Changer and whatnot. But the season starts. How do you feel? I know your team has been practicing for, it seems like, since August. So.
Yeah, they've been together. Well, we've been together since August. The thing with baseball and our spring sports is it's quite the marathon because you go through fall baseball, and it's just it's a process, right? You're not worried about winning games in the fall and who you're playing. You're putting pieces of the puzzle together, and our pieces are together, which not ultimately all the way, but I think we know what we have. How are we feeling? We're optimistic, cautiously optimistic, right? Really like this team as a team to begin with. They enjoy each other. There's a camaraderie there, and you could say what you want, but when a team, that's really important to me. When a team gets each other, they like being around each other. They want to go down that alley with each other. That's extremely important, and this team has it. This team really does. So it's exciting. It's we go to practice every day. It's fun to be around these guys. They're ready. We've hit that stage that they're kind of ready to play.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of live scrimmaging now. We'll do that here in a little bit, but we're ready to go. If you want me to dive in, I really like our pitching this year.
Yep.
Which is always a plus. We got some really good arms. We got some dudes coming back. We got a lot of ability there to keep us in ball games with what's on the mound.
Yep.
Brandon Cusack's back for us as a returner. One of our own true only starters, Matt Donovan. He got some love starting last year, but he'll be leading that crusade, and the Brendan Macks and Brandon Alzamoras and the Bryson Mellos. They're coming in, transferring into us. Connor Bird's back. Daniel Police and Caleb Chamberlain, Holden Brackus. That's a pretty good amount on the guys that you want that could start games and work into long relief. And Danny O'Malley and Danny McCauley and Anthony Rizzo's, and there's a whole bunch. I'm just really excited to see what our pitching does. Coach Wes Anderson and his development done an amazing job, and Drew Clavenna being the hands-on guy there, they've done awesome. So, so on the mound, we're excited. They know that we'll go as far as they're gonna take us.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask you about pitching, so I'm glad you jumped into it already. Let's talk a little bit about the non-pitching side of things, whether it's your hitting or your fielding. How do you feel, in terms of those pieces and, just where the team's at before the season begins?
We got good pieces. It's a matter, there's still a ton of unknown. We bring back one person in the infield and one person in the outfield. That's it, right?
Yep.
Well, actually two in the infield. But Mason Heitzler is shortstop. Zach Tarrant is our DH first baseman. Those are guys that are back that have had significant starting experience, right? On a day-to-day basis last year, and Johnny Carrera out in center. But so there's questions.
Yeah.
And there's there's a lot of dudes on this team that have to prove themselves this year. But there's excitement too, because I think this fall we saw a lot. Mike Vesley's kind of controlled himself to being an infielder last year. He was an infielder outfielder, and where's he going to be? And Dalton Strode has done the same thing. Jaden Jackson, he's got to stay healthy. He's an amazing talent, but injuries have gotten in the last 2 years, so I know he's out to prove himself. And our catchers are all freshmen, and that's a really big staple into our defense. And we put a lot of responsibility on our catchers. So Max Miller and Jaden Lawrence and Gio Rendina and Mark Flisk, like those guys got a lot on them. But we have some really, really great freshmen that I'm excited to see. It's a whole different ball game. So
how do you prepare the freshmen for college baseball in general? Because JUCO, obviously it's different from a big 4-year institution, but still very different and still more demanding than high school baseball too, when these kids are coming directly from high school, or if they transfer in, obviously. But most of them, the freshmen, are coming from high school directly into this. And you mentioned 50-something games. How do you prepare them, keep them mentally kind of ready? I'm sure Coach Halicki is a part of that, but mentally ready, physically ready, and just able to go throughout the season.
Well, you can't in a way. Right, the mental side, yep, Coach Halicki and what he can do and kind of talking to them, but they get a taste of it in fall baseball. And we play a lot of 4-year colleges in the fall because it's different, right? I'm a 17-year-old pitcher, and I'm throwing up against a 23-year-old senior. It's a huge gap. So they get this taste of, wow, this is different, and boy, this is faster, this is quicker, everything moves, and so fall baseball, and part of the reason I just kind of is just to get them. How do you succeed? How do you fail? This is a game of failure. You're going to fail. Mm-hmm. You're going to go 0 for 9 on a weekend, and think about it, right? But we got really, really strong freshmen that are really going to have to carry us. Isaiah Rhodes and John O'Brien are a couple guys that come to my mind that are going to jump right in and need to fulfill roles. I talked about those pitchers that as freshmen, we have outfielders that have all the potential that can come in and compete, right? And the thing is we're all competing here. I mean, there's no spots that are laid down. So we get to Vincennes and we go down to Texas. There's no guarantees on who's my starter at this spot. It's open. Yep. And that itself excels and pushes our freshmen to know, like, hey, even though he's a sophomore, I still have that opportunity. Or, hey, I'm a freshman. It looks like I'm going to be the starting guy here, but guess what? There's other guys right below you. And it being a 56-game season, everything changes. That lineup that I write, hopefully, weather dependent, next Friday, is going to be way different, hopefully, in June in Auburn, New York. Yeah. Because things change.
Yeah.
And is there a way to get them prepared? No. But you just hope that throughout this process, they're going to be ready for this grind because it is such a grind.
Yeah. And kind of a similar question, but with having the largest team within this department, how do you maintain, I guess, the personalities, mm-hmm. There's always going to be conflict between teammates, players and coaches, You've got such a large roster. How do you kind of manage that, you and your coaches? Because I know you're also the you're the athletic director, so you've got all these other duties on top of it. That's got to be a challenge.
It's a challenge. We're sitting here right now filming, and the text message went out to Coach LaFerno and Coach Halicki of what to get the guys started with. So one thing I'm grateful is the college understands it's a dual role. So as athletic director, as the main gig, and in baseball coach, I got to have people under me. Nick and Scott, Wes and Drew are reasons for that. And I instill a lot of power in them in the sense that they have a voice and I want to listen to them. But, not everyone's going to be happy. And one thing that I take a lot of pride in is everybody in this program can always say they've had an opportunity. And so, when we go through this grind, and it is a grind of Vincennes, and we go down to Texas, and that schedule is not easy. It's not. And, you come back 5-11, and it's tough, but it's always about trusting the process. And I know that's a word out there, but every guy in this team is going to say, hey, I got an opportunity and I got a chance. And if they're upset, they can motivate themselves with that. But the best player plays, but everybody's been given that chance and that opportunity. So is it difficult? Yeah, it definitely has their moments. And sometimes you take wins off your record to find things out, and that's okay. But I talked about, first thing I thought about was it's easier when the guys kind of like each other, and they do. Mm-hmm. And it makes it a little harder because sometimes you want to wrangle them and try to keep them down, but they all do respect each other and get along. It's a big old family. There is going to be beefs and things, but it's about, like I said, I put a lot of pressure on our team. I put a lot of pressure on our players. I'll get on their rear ends a little bit, as we do as college baseball coaches, but as my 7-year-old will say, I'll come over and give them hug attacks the next inning, right? Because they just need to know what our job is too. So difficult at times, but man, it's worth it all in the end. And by May, heck, even by early mid-April, things start laying themselves out where each guy kind of figures out, what is my piece to this team this year? Am I the bunter? Am I going to run? Am I going to come in and just throw one inning? Am I the pinch hit guy off the bench? But at the end, everyone's going to have a job. Yeah. And they should embrace that no matter what it is, because we won't get to where we need to get to without every single guy.
How do you battle and kind of combat the weather this time of year? I
know you can't win.
Yeah, not just snow, but I know when we move into March and then especially April, it could be warm but rainy. It could be cold and rainy.
It's my good buddy Steve Rouge just told me we'll never be able to beat Mother Nature, and we just talked about that. But you just go with it, right? I mean, having the discipline of, at least with the tarp, it helps, and the guys know it. Listen, it is not fun waking up at 7 in the morning here to get the tarp off on a day you got to play, but we got to get the ice off. We got to let it dry, and then we got to put it back on. There's days that we get off a bus from an away game at 7:30 at night, and we got our cell phones out there, and we're putting the tarp on. So it's about making that commitment, and that's a lot on our players, as well as when they moan and groan to us that the tarp's got to go on, tarp's got to go off. So that's about field maintenance and just getting it. Now, how do we combat ourselves during a game? It's up in the head. Yeah. We'll have games that maybe start off at 35 degrees and by the end of it, it's 23. I know I don't like it. I'm the coldest one. I'm not moving. Yeah. Right. But you just gotta grind through it. I've had regional tournaments where it's been 78 the Friday and literally 42 for championships. So it never ends. I kind of chuckle with my buddies down in Texas because, they'll play a little bit here and there, and we're going to get probably 8 inches of snow here this weekend. And by that time, 15 days are our home opener, and I'm going, all right, well, that should give us enough time to get ourselves prepared. Yeah. But you just, the good thing is the majority of our guys, if not all of them on this roster, are from here. Yeah. So this is no different. Right. Because when they play in high school, March 10th or 11th, it certainly ain't warm then. So it's an adjustment. It really is. Yeah. But you learn it. You get with it.
So what are your expectations for this season? I know what the goal is. We all know what the goal is, to win it all. Right. But realistically, what are you hoping to see out of this team this year and in an attempt to reach that goal?
Yeah, I think, last year was a disappointment. It really was. I think we had a lot of talent, but it was a disappointing year. So improving on that 100%. We're taking it, have a day. We want to win each day. I think we got caught up a little too much. We were hunted last year after winning the district, and just caught up a little too much on the further goal. So it's about winning each day. I would put our schedule against anyone in this country. Yep. And it's a grind schedule, and it is every single day when we play. And Damien, you'll see, we're going to head down to Texas, and they're going to be 20 games in, and we're playing, some really big time D1 programs. We're seeing our buddies that were at the World Series last year in the D3 programs. It's a go time, but we're still figuring things out during that. So ultimate goal, let's get to regionals and take care of it and win that, and then step by step. But the reality is to stay healthy, to enjoy, but to win each day. And then if we could do that, then hopefully, like you said, we end up in that ultimate goal, which is Auburn, New York. But it's a roller coaster. It's 56 games in less than 2.5 months. It's a lot, right? I mean, but we're ready. They're really biting at the bit. So it's a matter of keeping things, because when you're ready, you still have to know that first 20, 25 games, you're still in this process of building yourself up as a team.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're excited. We're really looking forward to it. There could be some changes here and there as we get to this weather, but we're going to play. We're going to play, and we're going to make it happen.
Right. Well, let's end on this. How can fans, parents, students here on campus follow along with baseball this year outside of just our website? Because obviously that's the number one way. Go to jjcwolves.com.
Yeah.
But you have students running the Game Changer during the games. You live stream. Even we're going to have some play-by-play for at least a handful of games this season.
Yeah, you can follow us along. It's fun. We try to really showcase the program on JJC Baseball, at JJC Baseball on X, right?
Yeah.
No longer Twitter. But they do a good job with that. Updates, Game Changer. I think it's just Joliet Junior College Wolves or Joliet Junior College on Game Changer. You'll be able to watch the live stream of that, which is really great.
It's really good because I think you do a lot of the away games too.
We do them all. Anyone we can. If for some reason
Wi-Fi
or something crazy, that's it. But we're gonna live stream them. If not, I know when we go down to Texas, they put a lot of their games are on TV or some form of media. So we tweet that out and get that out. So hopefully all of our parents. I understand Thursday and Tuesday games at 3:00. Just cuddle yourself down in your office and put on the Wolves and try to watch a little baseball. So it's tough, but we're around. We're there. You could watch us. You do an amazing job keeping everyone in the loop. And, let's have a year and have a day.
Cool. Well, Coach, I'm excited for the baseball season to begin. I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but I'm the biggest fan of taking baseball photos. It's some of my best sports
Fun
work.
stuff right there.
Yeah. So, good luck this season. We'll have you on. Hopefully next time you can bring a student athlete. We're not doing this during practice time.
Right. We'll get them. We'll get someone on here. I promise. That one's on me. A couple meetings got us pushed back. So
it happens. Next week we're gonna have softball on because their season starts a week after yours. So
looking forward to watching those girls compete. There's a lot of energy there for them and seeing what they can do.
Yep. Well, thanks, Coach, and we'll see you next week here in Coffee with the Wolves.